Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Many Faces of Cancer podcast. I am your host, Melissa Grosboll, and I hope you are in for a laugh today because our guest today is Tommy Holl. And Tommy is widely known as the Real Elf. He's the creator and heart behind The Real Elf, a beloved entertainment and experiential brand dedicated to spreading joy, wonder, and connection during the holidays and beyond. Born and raised in Clarendon Hills, Illinois, Tommy's passion for storytelling, people, and performance led him to study broadcast journalism at Columbia College, Chicago, and led to a big career in media and communications. Now, in 2012, in a lighthearted moment, friends pointing out his uncanny resemblance to an elf sparked what would become a life-changing idea. What started as a playful office Christmas card concept quickly transformed into The Real Elf, a larger-than-life persona focused on spreading cheer, laughter, and meaningful human connection.
Yay.
After surviving a rare cancer diagnosis in 2013, Tommy's mission became even clearer. Life is short, joy matters, and magic should be shared generously. Today, The Real Elf is known for live performances and pop-up experiences, personalized elfgrams, random acts of Christmas elfy moments, and that create viral feel-good memories. Tommy's work gained national attention when he appeared on season 13 of ABC's Shark Tank, where he landed a deal with Barbara Corcoran to grow the brand while giving back through charitable initiatives such as Imerman Angels. Equal parts entertainer, entrepreneur, and professional brand builder, Tommy blends corporate polish with childlike wonder, proving that spreading joy can be both meaningful and good business. Tommy's mission: to simply bring real joy to the world. So welcome to the show, Tommy.
Yay! Thank you, Dr. Melissa. Thank you so much. I'm actually in Lake Arrowhead, California, which is sort of a majestic space, kind of like the North Pole, but with a lot less snow. They actually have a place called Sky Park at Santa's Village. So if I want to get, a Christmas fix at any time, I can just drive like 3 minutes away.
There you go. And for those
It's fun.
watching on video, that is not a
No, this is
Riverside
real.
background. That is real life there.
These are real trees. These are not AI trees. These are not chia pet trees. These are real trees. I didn't plant them. Like, I'm not going to take credit for that. And then there's also the Australian Shepherd Bailey hanging out. Bailey, yeah, he's constantly on watch at all.
I mean, you
all
can't
points.
be in the wilderness without a dog. That is
Oh yeah,
just it's just gotta
he's
be.
living his best life out
Yeah.
here. So it's really great. It's about an hour from Palm Springs. So it's very, very remote, but also very resort lake, like ski village kind of fun. So yeah. Thank you
All
for
right.
having me. This is gonna be fun.
I'm so glad that you decided to come on. This is going to be such a fun conversation because I want to get right in. We're past the holidays,
Oh yeah.
but it doesn't really
Tell
matter
me about
because
it. I know the
I want to hear
holidays.
about the real elf. Like it
Oh
said a
my
little in your
gosh.
bio how that happened, but give us kind of the quick rundown of how the real elf came about.
It really there are those moments in life that are really like happy accidents. It all started as a joke with my friends, Tony, Chris, and Scott, which like Hard Rock, Coco, and Joe. We were at a Christmas like holiday party in Chicago, and they were just joking all night. They're like, "You look like an elf. You look like elf," and the whole thing. And we celebrated Christmas growing up. We just didn't do that specific tradition of like bringing an elf around the holidays. And so I thought it'd be funny to dress up as like for a Christmas card. So I got the red onesie at a thrift store in Chicago. I don't sew, but I put the hat and the mittens and the collar together. And one of my friends is a photographer, and he took the very first Elfie and literally just took a bench from his kitchen and put up against the wall, and it looked like like
Like
I
the
was
elf on
like
a
on a
shelf.
mantle. I was on a mantle, and then the next year was on the WGN Morning News, and it just literally, for lack of a better word, snowballed, and every year just became this like Christmas tradition and became more formalized. And I created a website, and people just started reaching out. Can you do this event? Can you do this event? And it's kind of wild that this is going to be my 14th season elfing, which is
Oh my gosh.
Crazy, crazy. I know. And still have the same onesie. It's had a little, it's got refurbished over the years. It's been in the workshop a couple times
And
for
now is
sure.
this like is do you do stuff year round, or is it pretty much just from like, the fall through Christmas, or do they have things for you to do year round?
No, good question. I actually just got hired by one of my friends to be Cupid next week. I have been Cupid before, but that's not like my main part of the brand. But I used to always work around a full-time job, so I was always say like I was in like media by day, like elfing at night kind of thing. And so now I'm kind of really just taking a little bit of time where I'm focusing on networking and brand building and connecting and being able to focus more on the brand. And because I'm not working in like corporate America anymore. So I've had some time to really like like this holiday was just wonderfully, I always say, booked and blessed, which was great. So when the holidays now, it's like I get a little bit more downtime, but then I'm also like planning for the rest of the season, which is crazy to think that early on. But it's fun. I mean,
I'm sure you
I mean,
already
I
have
say the
stuff
real elf
booked
can
for
come at
next
any time.
season,
Like
right? Or for
Christmas in
next
July
holiday
is a
season?
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you already like mostly booked for next Christmas?
Not like officially, but there are wonderful clients that I work with every year that we start planning ahead of time, where I get like dates in place. So we just like haven't had those discussions yet, like too early. But yeah, I always joke and say like nobody thinks about the holidays until after Labor Day, and then nobody really thinks about the holidays until after Halloween, and then nobody really thinks about the holidays until after Thanksgiving, and then it's just 3 weeks of you know wonderful, random, awesome craziness trying to, you know, like 3 weeks of holiday fun and madness.
That is so cool.
It's
I
cool.
absolutely
It's been kind of like this little onesie that could, like, it just started as a joke. And it's like, I mean, if I could be in a red onesie and like spread joy and actually make, make some money and it's been really cool, like part of my like DNA, because I don't know. It's not like I planned like one day I woke up and said I'm gonna be an elf today, and it just sort of naturally happened. And I always say my dad was actually a clown in a water ski show growing up in college, so I said maybe the apple doesn't fall from the tree, so maybe that's part of it.
bringing joy to others. It's a inherited trait.
And we definitely need more of it. Hey, and
Absolutely.
someone would say, "Oh, well, what if someone wears a onesie and they like try to do what you do?" I go, "Listen, if anybody wants to put in a onesie and spread joy, go at it. I think we need more of it. Doesn't have to be a onesie. If anybody wants to ever make anybody feel good, I mean, we should be like lifting each other up, right? So it's like I am I'm like, if you can't borrow mine, but I would say, you know,
Well,
go
there's the
get.
business idea. Just create a whole business of elves that all around the country that, I mean, you're only one person, you can only be in one place at a time, and we need elves everywhere.
I know. Well, I think that's the idea for this year, is like focusing on more how to have other extensions of the brand and how to build those things out. So, because I know it is just me, but I do have, fun, like there's like swag and elfgrams and different things like that. And, but I like where it's going so far. And I think, the kind of like the sky's the limit, like there's no limit to how much joy you can spread, right? Like the limit
True.
doesn't, sounds like Mean Girls. The limit does not exist. It doesn't exist, you
And
know?
and now more
I
than
want to
ever,
just
we
keep
need
doing
as much
that, you
joy
know?
as we possibly, can get in this world.
Absolutely.
All right, so I guess it was probably about a year later. So take us through a little bit of your cancer journey. It said in your bio you had a very rare kind of cancer. So
Yeah.
can you tell us what led up to your diagnosis?
Yeah. So it's crazy, right? Is here I am, like 2012, you know, elf world. And then 2013, I don't come from a family of that, like a line of cancer in my family. Like I've had, my grandparents had cancer, but they were smokers, like lung cancer, different things. So I just always felt like, oh, I was a pretty healthy person, right? I'm not a big drinker. I'm like, And I had this rare cancer called epithelioid sarcoma. It likes to start the ends of your extremities, like your fingers, your toes. So I lost my left pinky finger, and at the time, it's like I couldn't tell you one person I knew that was around my age that had gone through cancer, and like, and one of the resources I reached out to was Imerman Angels, and Imerman Angels, they provide free one-on-one cancer support. So that was really a like very helpful resource for me at that time. Because I think the way I handled it, and everybody handles it differently, is I just kind of only had like a few core people that really knew about it, and because I know there's people like to share their journey, which is like totally you know their prerogative. I think just for me, it's like I didn't really want to talk about it, and it was great to be able to actually connect with somebody that went through a similar situation and was around the similar age. And it was really like got matched up like right before I was like supposed to have surgery, because it was a very like kind of one and done situation. Like I was fortunate I didn't have to go through like, chemo and radiation, because the doctor said, well, chemo's going to go through your whole body, it's going to be too aggressive. And then they're like, radiation is going to just burn your finger off, and you're going to want it just burned off, like it's like the crypt keeper, and
I think
so
of Dumbledore and the
yeah,
rest
I
of
was
Harry
like,
Potter.
oh,
Yeah.
I was like in Pinky Survivor mode. I was trying to keep as much as I could, but in the course of like 2 weeks, I'd already had like the blood work and the CT scan and all the things that you have to do, and a surgery date. So it was I'll never forget. It was like November 5th of 2013. So it was literally right before the holidays too, and the reason I bring that up is because I was fortunate to get on the morning news, and it was the first time I ever had to, it's like being on TV in a red onesie, and I was worried about, oh, well, I'm gonna talk with my hands, but I actually had mittens on that actually covered my hands, and I didn't feel like I had to like talk about it, or it kind of was like a little like safeguard kind of thing. So it was really interesting. But with
You really
Imerman
kind of
Angels
got to
was,
separate because of your mittens. You got to separate, your emotions, what you were going through with the
well, it was so
spreading joy for others.
fresh. Yeah, it was so fresh, and it was sort of um this is like a, for what it is, it's like a constant reminder. So it's like, oh, what happened? And it was that moment of like not having to feel like you need to explain or over explain or try to make other people feel comfortable about what's going on, so I could really just kind of focus on you know the holidays and what was going on at the time. And then that's just been kind of that journey. So I think Imerman Angels is just, they're just celebrated 20 years, which is incredible. They have like over 8 to 10,000 mentors worldwide. So they pair people around the similar age, similar diagnosis. So also caretakers, like I said, and so it's awesome. I think there's people that just, of course, don't know that you need it until you need it, and that's kind of the challenge, right? Like once you're deep in something, you don't want to web MD yourself to death, kind of like
Right.
worst and
Stay
least
away from
case
Dr.
scenario.
Google.
Oh yeah, doctor, yeah, because I mean you can get totally different answers on the spectrum of the extreme of something. So I tried not to do that at the time.
Well, was
um,
there a lot of information out there about this type of cancer? Because you said it's very
not
rare. So
not really, honestly. No, good, that is a good question, because I had friends reaching out to me once I had like opened up about it, and they said, I just researched that. They said I was getting information from other people, like 1 in 2.5 million people. It's kind of like common in young white males, like 30, 35. So I yeah, you're kind of learning as you go. At the time, this was 2013. This was, so it was just fortunate. I've had like, had follow-ups and different things, but I don't have to go back for like routine appointments. But no, it's wild, because you remember where you were, and I was by myself. I was in the doctor's office, the nurse, and he's got this pathology report. He goes, I have to talk to you, and you're like, oh, that's not good. And then they hand you, the report, when it's all seems like it's like in Sanskrit, because I've never heard of epithelioid anything. Like it didn't say like you think the C word. It was just like epithelioid sarcoma. What's that? And I was like, oh, it's like, sounds like a bad drag queen's name. You don't want to, you don't want to have. It was just
oh, so
wild.
you
It was
just saw
just,
that. You didn't even see that it was cancer at
no. It
first.
was just, it was basically, it was like at the time, I I had a little bump on the end of my finger, which was from I played lacrosse and I had a blister on the end of my finger. I'm not saying blisters turn into cancer, but I had it on my finger for like 12 years before I actually, started looking at it and of course like picking at it and festering with it. And it was my cousin's a physician's assistant. He said, well, it has the characteristics of a venous hemangioma. I'm like, oh, what's that? He's like, it's like a grouping of blood vessels. So that's what it was. But then once I went to the skin doctor, he took it out and they did tests. It came back that it was positive for cancer. So that's what was wild. It was like it started off as one thing, it turned into another.
So it
And
wasn't cancer for that whole 12 years. It was just a blister to start.
that's a good question. I don't know because from what I understand, it's epithelioid sarcoma is a slow growing sarcoma, so it could have manifested year one, it could manifested year 11
Okay.
in that time. I just basically just wrote it off as like, oh, it's just like a kind of like a blood blister that's under the skin, and oh, it's just going to be like a sports callus that I'm just never gonna, get rid of or whatever. And then it just turned into something else. But because of where it was, and they were like testing the lymph nodes, I was able to just kind of cut it off at its source. And I'm right-handed, but at the time it's like pinky survivor, you're trying letting go of a piece of yourself, which is not exciting at the time, but at the
Well,
same
did
time it
you
was
have a
like
say in how much of your pinky they took?
i I did, which is wild. They had to be at least an inch and a half away from like the positive margins. So I was talking to the doctor, like I was like, can we like can you go the very, very like least that you can go? I want to keep as much as I can because you can't go back. I can't,
Or,
not like put on some Play-Doh. You
oh, we
can't go
took too
back.
much. Here, let's
We
put some
took
more
too
back
much.
on.
We need to buy it back. So yeah, it was like the little pinky that could. It was like the little minion that could. So no, it was just, I mean, I share it. I mean, I appreciate you having podcasts like this because yeah, it's not fun to talk about cancer, but I also think like it really was like, my advice, if anybody, listens is just go get checked so you can at least have a plan of attack of then what you're working with, because I think it's hard to admit that it's even happening. And I think I had never been to the doctor more than like the cold or the flu, or you go to emergent care for something. So this was like beyond like getting blood work and CT scans all in the course of like 2 weeks. And I mean, I know people go way beyond that with years of treatments and months of treatments and physical therapy. So it was just sort of like, but I was just glad that when they said, oh, well, you can get a CT scan. I'm like, where do I get it? Like upstairs. I'm like, I'm going up there right now. Like I just did it that day. I didn't want another day to go by. And then then I was like, I felt like that was a little bit of control, not, something that you can at least, something tangible. It's like you can at least go to the appointment and you have something that you can actually kind of work with or like work towards. I think that kind of helped me as far because I was at the time I was in a good place where I mean everybody has a different support net of friends and family, but I was like it's kind of like I sound like a bad match.com date. I was like it wasn't working. I'm living at home, but it was like at least I wasn't having to like sacrifice like a job. And there are people that do like lose their jobs because they have to go to treatments and cancer, which is terrible. So I was like kind of in the worst best case scenario. It's weird to say, like, I mean, I have a wonderful family and friends, and it was just like everything was like local. And
You had the good kind of cancer, right?
yeah,
That's,
I
yeah, that's what some
it
people
sounds like the
say. I
good
love
kind of
that. Like, there's no
good kind
good
of can
kind.
there's no good kind. I think it really isn't. It was just sort of like the worst best case scenario as far as like knowing what it was. And then it was like here, and at the time I had got a first opinion at Rush and a second opinion at University of Chicago, and they basically it was the same diagnosis and same treatment. So, and at the time I remember the doctor had said, well, you can go and often you basically try to find the answer that you want to find. Someone's going to tell you to like keep your finger, but that's just not, that's not reality.
Right.
So you don't want to really like travel the world with like the resources you may not have and the money that you may not have to someone tell you what you want to hear, when you just really need to like just have a plan of attack and try to do the best job to like get through appointments and beyond, kind of wild. But then Imerman Angels was great because I was able to have somebody there kind of behind the scenes, like being able, I actually still haven't met them, but they live in California, but it was someone around a similar age and similar diagnosis. So I was able to like, hey, how did that feel after when you were, you got, when you were going for surgery, and then what was it like afterwards, and how's like, life different and everything like that. And I think once I got into a good place of, I knew I was like 100%, you know, with treatments and everything, I was able to just like, I wanted to be an advocate and volunteer for like people who are advocates for me, and get more involved with Immern Angels, and be more of like a, like kind of like an I am ambassador in a way, because there are people that just don't know that there's resources like this that exist that are 100% free, and
That's
it's
one of the
wild.
reasons why I do this podcast too, because
Yeah.
I try and talk about all the different resources
Yeah,
that
and
are
I said it's
available for
not fun to
people.
talk about cancer, but I think that I'm willing to always talk to people that want to listen and want to hear, and like I said, it opened up a lot of um, just people into my life that I would have never met otherwise. Immern Angels, and we've talked to, you're in Colorado. Epic Experience is huge. They provide free adult cancer survivor thriver camps. I've been a camper, and I've also volunteered there. So I mean, there's this whole other, like, there's this definitely a cancer community, and it's not like you want to have cancer to be a part of it, but it really is like there's tons of like wonderful people and resources out there. And it's like, I think when I was ready to sort of just kind of like share my kind of like my story, my journey, it felt good that then you're actually connecting with people, and it's like just made, when I went to Epic Experience, it was like in 2016, it just felt like, things weren't as bad. It just felt like I was ready to be kind of, more open about it, and because it was a good time for like of like reflection and healing and good things like that. So, and then on top of that, elfing during the holidays. So
Oh yeah, that's
keeping
that's my
keeping
next
the keeping
question.
the
How
keeping the
did
vibes alive.
right? How did things, and if they did, how did things just kind of change as far as your vision of elfing after going through this cancer experience? You kind of said in your bio that life is short and joy matters, and magic should be shared generously. How
Yeah.
did that really play out in your life and in your little elfing business?
Well, like I mentioned before, which I'm like fortunate to say, is this is going to be my 14th year. So I've just seen the holidays kind of in a different light. I'm actually like, I'm in people's homes. I've been at business, big events and smaller events and all these different things. And so, I mean, like for example, like one time we were doing something with like a local fire station, and this, I just always remember this. This one woman said, I just want to tell you, she didn't go into detail, but she's like, we've just had a really rough year, and she's like, this has really made my day. And like, moments like that where people are just, they open up to you, tell you personal things, and you're really connecting with people. I mean, I've been fortunate that I'm like on a fireplace mantle at like 900 North Michigan Shops in Chicago. Like, if you come to Chicago, I'll be there like when you first walk in, and you meet people from all over the world, and they're just telling you their stories, and I think like, I think with angels and like the cancer diagnosis, I just think like, I'm just kind of being like a positive reminder of, you know, that there's like the cancer resources out there. So maybe when seeing the little onesie that could, like, you realize that there's still, joy, and there's still light at the end of the tunnel, which is great. But during the holidays, like I said, it's just, I'm it's wonderful, it's crazy, it's overwhelming, it's depressing, right? People are trying to plan meals and travel. It's a lot. So it's like I get to do something that I really enjoy, and and make people feel good. And if you're not into elves, that's okay. It's not for you. You don't have to be a Grinch, right? If someone says Merry Christmas, just say thank you. They don't know what you celebrate. One time I was on Michigan Avenue, and I said, I was not even like performing. I was just literally walking in onesie to like another event, and I just said to this woman, I go, Happy Holidays, and she goes, I'm Mormon. I'm like, how am I supposed to know you're Mormon? Really? Like, it's not tattooed on your forehead. Like, give me a break. Like, I'm in a onesie with mittens on. Like, I'm not I'm not going to attack you. It's like, hey, I'm not asking for money. I'm like I am literally just walking on the street. I was like, I worked at Gap Kids. We always like Happy Holidays, like, not a big deal.
Ugh.
So it's really been a blessing. It's really been fun. It's been
Like you
exciting.
can't like even happy holidays is wrong. That's what we're taught.
I
Like
just
don't say Merry
I saw
Christmas,
this
say Happy
like I saw
Holidays,
this
and even
yeah.
that was wrong.
No, exactly. No, I saw this little meme and it was just basically like say thank you. Like no one knows what you're celebrating. They're not trying to offend you purposefully, you know, and I that's why I just think the holidays, like I said, it's fun, it's overwhelming, it's triggering. It brings a lot of it's the longest holiday. It's a lot. I get it. I get it. So I'm just trying to, you know, make things maybe just a little bit more joyful, a little bit more fun. I mean, I'm only 5'3", so I'm really not little, you know. It's like
You're
so
elf
yeah.
size. That's perfect, right?
Yeah, I don't take that much space on the mantle, you
All
know.
right. Well, I want to talk about Shark Tank. So tell me kind of what led up to that and your
Are
experience.
you ready?
And
Are
I
you ready
hope
for
that
this?
you've
Are
sent
you
me a
hanging on the edge of your
video.
seat?
So
I
like a video link that I can post in the show notes about your
Oh
time on
yeah.
Shark Tank.
So this was wild. I formerly was a C-suite executive assistant. So I was working for a media agency in California. I mean, California in Chicago. And you know, fortunate like during the pandemic, I wasn't furloughed, didn't have to pay cut, and I was literally just the beginning of January of 2021 when the pandemic was still going on. I got an email from Shark Tank casting, and at first I thought it was spam because it's the beginning of the year. You know, holidays are over, and no, I did my research and I called the number and I talked to a casting agent and they said we love your brand, we love what you do. Like would you? And it's not a golden ticket, but it's like would you be interested in auditioning? And I was like, you know, and at this time this was like my ninth or 10th season elfing. So I was always like it was just it was really cool because I mean I enjoy talking about it because it was a joyful moment. It was great. But also I wasn't like mortgaging a house. I wasn't like losing a bunch of money, but it was also a time to be able to share my story, passion, and I was able to share about Imerman Angels as well on the show. But they found me on and they found me by email, and then I kept going through the process. And as you go through, you get paired up with like two producers, and they're there to help kind of like guide you through the process. And every week we had a Zoom call, and I'm smiling because I dressed up as an elf every single time. And they were like, Tommy, you don't need to dress up. I'm giving you the full fantasy. Like, I am giving you the full elfness. And and they because they found me in January. I didn't pitch until September, in California, and they pay for your like flight, hotel, and meals. But you know they're
Nice.
not there to pay you to pitch. So but you have to design your own set. So I'm working my full time job, which is you know crazy. It's like working like 24/7, and nobody really knew I was going, and it was on a weekend. And so it was kind of funny, like going back to work and like, oh, what'd you do this weekend? I'm like, you know, kind of just like just pretty chill. Like it's like pitched on Shark Tank. Like that's
Oh,
crazy.
can you not tell people until it airs?
No, no. I mean, you can tell me your pin number. I would never tell anybody. I'm very. It's like almost like if you're writing a book. Like you don't want to tell people when you're writing a book because they're like, "How's that book coming along?" Huh? So it's because you. It's not a guarantee that you're going to pitch because you can still. So there's all these different things. You could still pitch and get a deal if it does. You know, you could still pitch and get a deal even if it doesn't air. But imagine if you pitched and it didn't air and it's like and you didn't get deals like it didn't happen, you know, it's crazy. So there's a lot of they said I think 20, 30,000 people apply every year. It's harder to get on Shark Tank than to get in Harvard because they get so many applications. So
And they
imagine it was
came
like
to you. You didn't even apply.
well, I mean, they came to me, but I did go through the entire audition process like everybody else. Like everybody goes
Okay.
through it. It's just that the episode was specifically holiday products
Okay.
for 2021. But yeah, they said even if they find you, it's like you still go through the entire vetting process. I mean, you basically tons of paperwork. I did an audition tape at there's this wonderful place called Frosty's Christmas Bar in Chicago. It's this big pop-up bar. And so the holidays were over and it was January. So I was because I've moonlighted there during the holidays. So I did my audition tape there. So I had like nutcrackers that were huge. I looked based, I was like the North Pole living room. And I did my audition there. And it was really, I mean, for me, it was like, I think at the time it was we all were going, everyone was going through something during the pandemic, whether you know, and I think for me it was this great outlet to just, you know, for, you know, creativity, you know, everything I was doing. Like no one can tell you spreading joy wrong, you know?
Right.
I mean, unless you're trying to hurt somebody intentionally. I would say if you're not hurting yourself or other people, I think you're doing okay,
There you
right?
go.
So,
Good
but yeah,
rule
like,
to live by.
yeah, I mean, if you're not, as long as you're not trying to hurt yourself or others, I think you're doing okay, you know?
You
But
know, you
yeah,
didn't really have a product other than yourself. So what was, what were you, I guess, asking for? I mean, from the Shark
yeah,
Tank that I've
well,
seen.
so when you do your audition in your, you actually have to put in the audition tape like how much you're asking for and your equity. And but I was like, I know it was just me, but in 2020 during the pandemic, I was actually doing elfgrams with Imerman Angels. So we raised about $1,200. So there's like $50 a video, and all the money went to Imerman Angels. So we're raising like money and awareness like during the holidays. So it's sort of this like kind of serendipitous thing that happened where it's like, well, how can I bring more joy to the world? I know it's just me, but what if I did elfgrams, kind of like the cameo of the North Pole, where I could have my own app, my own platform where it doesn't have to just be Christmas, but it could be other holiday characters and
Like
one
Cupid,
Cupid. You could have Leprechaun.
Cupidgrams.
You could have, yeah, the real Cupid. You could have the real Leprechaun. You could have the real Bunny. I guess you could have the real Baby New Year. I haven't done a
Like
diaper.
Uncle Sam kind of thing
Uncle
for 4th of
Sam.
July and
Yeah, the real 4th of July, the real firework. Yeah, I was just thinking, how do you bring like more joy to the masses? And I was thinking of an app and a platform. So I was asking originally for 125,000 for 25% because I wanted a shark to be more involved than just like 5% or 10% of their time. And yeah, like long story short, I mean popped out of a present. It was really fun. I mean, you actually design your own set and everything, but you get one shot to pitch, no do overs. It felt like the most Hollywood experience ever. People always ask like how what was it like? I said it's kind of like a roller coaster that you don't know is going to end because it's like going to someone's house you've never been to before. So you're just not aware of your surroundings. You're like, I don't know what's in that door, what's over there, what's down that hallway, and you're kind of just getting shepherded from like space from place to place until it's your turn. And because it was during the pandemic, it was like we were all in these trailers, and I'm sitting in a trailer with Santa, and waiting our turn. And I was the second, and you don't know who the sharks are till the day of, and then we didn't have and there was and you just wait your turn. So I was the second person to pitch of the day, and it was like I'm alfed up in a red onesie. It's like 6 in the morning, and you leave a hotel and they van you over to Sony Pictures, and it was just wild. And then I get one shot to pitch, no do overs, and then it's like what do you do? Then you just go back in your trailer, and then they actually shipped you off to another hotel so that the next wave of people that are pitching don't cross
but
paths.
you knew you got a deal before you left there, right?
Oh yeah, but it's basically if you get a deal that day, it's all a verbal contract, and then it goes into a 6 month due diligence process. So like that was September, and then it didn't air until December 10th of which was awesome. But then the holidays were half over, and so at the time I'm like, I'm not leaving like a salary benefits and 401k match job, and not like you're right on a you're not on a salary with one of the sharks. So it's sort of this like it's a whole process. It's like I mean it's a great, wonderful gift problem to have, right? It's not a
Right.
problem at all. It's just sort of like the real work starts afterwards too.
Hmm.
So that was exciting. And again, it's the second quarter of the year, so there wasn't no one's talking about the holidays. I kind of went back in the box, back in the box for a while, for a little bit. But it was great. I mean, I felt like at the time, win, lose or draw, I was able to like share my story. Like I said, share my passion, but also share because I mean everything has to be checked off. So just to even mention Imerman Angels, I had to get their 501(c)(3). So I was like, I think it was messaging Johnny Imerman like, can I get the 50? I mean, because everything it's totally legit. It's wild. And that was great because I heard great feedback that there's people that reached out because they saw that episode to Immortal Angels, which I thought was amazing
Oh,
because I was
nice.
like it's like just to be able to honor like what they do, and especially even Epic Experience too, like honor these organizations. And I know there's another one too, which is Brushes with Cancer, which is amazing too, where they pair up an artist um with a cancer survivor, and they
Mhm.
paint their story
Yeah.
basically. So there's so many things out there, and it's just like if any way I can try to broadcast it out there in a way so people can get the resources out there, because that's the one thing they're not nonprofits. They're not the big multi
Right.
crazy corporations where they just have
They need
tons of
people like
money.
us to
Yeah.
spread the word and get
Yeah,
more
just
information out
spreading
there.
the word and like I said, being advocates for people that were advocates for you, right? So that was great. And then just now, just figuring it all out and keeping things keeping things going and just vibing and elfing.
There you go.
It's like wild. I know it's a wild journey. It's like I just tell anybody if someone's like not sure what they're doing, if I'm like, hey, if I can be in a red onesie for 14 years, you can do it. I mean, I hope. I don't know. I don't know. Everybody's journey is different, but I mean, it's wild. It's kind of like there's all these different layers to, you know, what we do or why we do it. And sometimes like it's weird. Like once the holidays come about, I'm always like, okay, here we go. And then it's great. People, I mean, there's people that we really do need more joy in the world.
Absolutely.
Like authentically and just going out there. I mean, it sounds so cheesy, but it really is like random acts of kindness. Like just go do something nice. Like sometimes like, just if you're just really, if you're in the coffee line, just get the other person's coffee. Like who knows if it's $2, $5, like you never know, right?
Or in
Like,
California, 20 bucks. Or
yeah, I know. Or just make someone some coffee. Just brew some maybe. I know.
All right. Well, Tommy, where can people find you if they want to more information about your elfing, more information about you, your experience? What's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
My website it's so simple and fun. It's therealelf.com.
Okay.
Therealelf.com. It's great. It's just
Excellent.
3 words. Therealelf.com.
Now,
No, it's I
like I mentioned before, is there a link to your Shark Tank episode on your
yes.
website? Or okay,
Yes, that's what's really fun. So on my website it has I have elf swag, so I have like t-shirts, mugs, hats, which are fun. I have a pillow that says "Don't block my view," and it has the elf face on it, and then you can turn around, it has a snowflake, but also the mug, and it says my mug is filled with holiday magic. But I also have, yeah, there's a Shark Tank page and everything like that, which is really fun because it has all the clips, and I have my little there's a way to get on the nice list too, if you like to do that. I won't bombard you with emails, but yeah, it's great. It's therealf.com. I love it because I was able from Shark Tank. I received money from Barbara, and I was able to take my website from like Weebly, which was great, like a building website, to actual. I work with a company that, you know, builds websites for a business. So it was really cool because now I can actually build on it. So I'm really just proud of it because it was like the one thing I actually invested money in was actually to revamp the website. So it's my like, it's like, and it's like your little, it's like your podcast, right? You're constantly, creating and refining and
right.
trying to make it better. So it was really fun that I was able to like actually like do that, you know.
I love that.
Actually, that started as like I literally like I'm telling you, anybody's listening, I did not know how to do a website, and I literally just went on Weebly and or you go to Squarespace. The realf.com was available, so it's like you can literally just go out and get a URL and there's building websites just to even start,
Absolutely, absolutely.
and talk to people that are smarter than you. That's what I
Always.
really talk to people who are smarter than you and people who've done it too.
Hey,
When
I
I'm
always say if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room, right?
Yeah, and there's only me and Bailey here, so
Yeah.
I think Bailey's the smarter one for sure.
All right. Well, Tommy, I ask this of all of my guests. So if you were to come across somebody who is just diagnosed with cancer or in the midst of overwhelm about a cancer diagnosis, what's one piece of advice that you would give them to just kind of help them get through these early stages of a cancer diagnosis?
I think I've had people who I've known really well, and I've had people that I've kind of met, like out and about, and I think it's kind of knowing your resources, like what's your family and friends support net, but also think like I said, I think it's getting those appointments and not putting it off. And if you're not sure about something, go get it checked. Like if you're no one's an expert. Like I'm not a doctor. All I know is that getting an appointment and actually then you can also start like a plan of attack of whatever that is. How big or small that is, because I feel like for me it was like that was just what I needed to do was the one thing I could control was like go to meeting, go to a, go to appointment, and get those things done. And because it kind of feels like taking care of yourself becomes like a full-time job,
Yeah,
you know,
it does.
yeah, it does. Yeah. So I feel like that's where I started. And I think for me, I also mentioned, maybe just telling one or two people, or how many, just a small group, so you don't feel like you're always having to explain to other people like what's going on. I know everybody's journey is different. Like people like to, like I said, share on social media what's going on, but I think it just eliminated for me the noise of like having to, make other people feel comfortable. Well, I went to this appointment, and then you have to tell the story
Yeah.
5 times. Like I went to, right? If you, I don't know
Yeah.
if you had to do that.
Oh yeah.
So I think that's like getting the appointment and just maybe scaling it down to, a small circle, because I felt like that just helped me sort of manage things better, um, you know, physically, emotionally, and, not having to always, over explain and things like that. But when I got the appointments, like I said, that really helped, you know, just that was the first step of like the journey, because I think I've heard stories, and I'm sure you have too, where people feel something and they're like, well, I'm not sure. I don't want
Yeah.
to go. It's not a big deal.
Head in
They
the
put it off.
sand.
What?
Head in the sand.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I've just heard those stories before. And I think like it can sound so simple, but I think it was better to know than not to know. And it was better to know so I could actually have like kind of wrap my head around and have a plan. And then reaching out to Imerman Angels was very helpful, because that was just that one added layer, that I was able to have an outlet to talk to somebody who'd gone through it, and I'm not just talking to a wonderful friend and a wonderful family member who they care, but they don't always know what to say or do, and they're trying to help you, and then you like, it's like they want to help. I mean, for example, I know I'm going to talk all over the place, but I just remember one of my friends, like her mom had been diagnosed with cancer, and then her friends would always go to lunch like every Sunday, and she's at one point her friends were like, well, you probably just want to hang out with your mom, and they're like, no, she even as a caretaker still wanted to go out and do regular things. Sometimes that's what you need to do is go, but everybody's trying to figure it out for you. And I think like, yeah, it can be very, you know, yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm having a lot of different, flashbacks. That's why yeah.
No
But
worries.
yeah,
Good. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Tommy. I really loved
thank
this
you.
conversation. It was so fun learning all about the real elf. And
Thank you. I
and I'm
appreciate
just
it.
so happy that you are out in the world and you are just bringing joy to others.
I'm
And
happy you're out in the world. This is
again,
great.
we
I'm happy
need
that
we
you're
need that
doing
joy
this.
so much, and you can't do joy wrong. So,
You can't, unless you're hurting someone intentionally. Is if your joy is
well,
trying to
then
make
that's not
someone's
joy.
bad
Well,
day,
maybe joy for
right?
you,
But I'm
but
saying,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, no, you can't do joy wrong. But I mean, there are some people that need a little help.
Yeah.
There's some Grinches out there. There's definitely some Grinches out there. They need a little help. Maybe they need a joy 101. But yeah. But
All
thank
right.
you
Well,
so much for having me. This was
of course,
really
enjoy the rest of
wonderful.
your time out in the wilderness, and
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah, with
Bailey's
Bailey.
Bailey's Bailey's still on watch.
Right.
Does not listen. Bailey.
Gosh, he looks so much
Bailey.
like my dog. That's
Bailey.
amazing. All
Yeah,
right.
just barely listens.
All
Angsty
right.
teenager. Does
Yeah.
not care.
All
I
right. Well, have
appreciate it
a
so
great
much.
rest
I'm
of
so
your
glad we got
day.
connected. This was really great. I really
Yeah.
appreciate it very much. So,
All right. Take care of
peace,
yourself.
love, Elfies.
All right.
Ah!
Bye.